5, give 20 more seconds. Okay, so let's get started. So hello everybody, and welcome. I'm bringing you a live broadcast from my spare bedroom. This is the only place that I can get peace in my house, where there's no animals or kids. This is also where I come whenever I'm in the doghouse. So, yep, thank you everybody for logging in. I hope you're all keeping well and safe. First of all, I want to say a massive well done for hitting 1 million live this month. I mean, in this climate, I mean, that's incredible. I love the fact that regardless of what is thrown at field sales, that you guys always deliver. It doesn't matter what it is. I mean, and some of you really did take advantage of the 30% commission that we paid in April. I mean, I think Ruth Anderson did, I think, 60K live. You know, at 30%, I mean, that's 18K in commission plus residuals. I mean, that's over 20K in a month. It's incredible. And there was a whole long list of you who took advantage of this and earned a very handsome amount. So well done to you all. Hopefully there's now daylight at the end of the tunnel, and we can all start getting back to normal very soon. But let me tell you one thing. It's amazing how the tide of the atmosphere in payment sense has shifted over the last couple of weeks. A month ago, there was a big feeling of uncertainty and worry in the air, as nobody knew what was happening. However, once we as a company got our bearings and put a strategy in place, I mean, we're now in a completely different place. Now, whilst our competitors are asleep and in hibernation, we are putting our plan of attack together. And to use the F1 theory that George and Jan talked about, if you were on their call, was when lockdown came, coming into the corner, payment sense hit the brakes. And we put a lot of defensive plans in place, which were vital at the time. However, now basically we're about to come out of the corner. We are very much going to go on the attack and accelerate very fast out of this corner, overtaking everyone. So those plans are coming along very well. And now we are seeing a massive shift in the atmosphere. I mean, as I said, we've gone from the worry and uncertainty to now excitement and now planning and focus. I mean, it's amazing. And you all seen the presentation by Guy of the new brand last week, basically making the transition from Payment Sense to Dojo in September. It's very, very, very exciting. There's some awesome stuff going on there. So things are starting to heat up as we put our strategy and plan of attack together. And you should be doing the same at your end. You should be starting to rev up and starting to plan your attack on how you are going to accelerate your business out of the corner. Remember, it's not just merchants who have to get back to business and get things going again. It's also you, because you've got a business too. I mean, you want to get your mojo back and get your journey and your business back on track. And that's why we're doing these webinars. I mean, to start getting your focus back and to help tool you up so that you can get your business back on track and fast. So David and Susanna, they've been hosting webinars with some of our top performers in the last few weeks. Those panelists have shared their experience in topics such as e-com, Modo, how to max LTR, how to overcome objections. I mean, the feedback has been fantastic. I've watched them all. I've been very impressed with them, with all the hosts and the panelists. So the pressure's probably on this one. But I mean, if you've missed any, I highly recommend you go back and you watch them. Now, it's always important to keep improving your own business. And the best way to do that is to learn from others. You mean, and the RSMs, I mean, last week they persuaded me to run a session. So here we are. So I had to think, what's an important topic that we could discuss here that's going to be relevant to everybody? And what I thought was, you hear me talk about the word journey a lot. In other words, you mean, how far have you come with Payment Sense? I mean, some of you are just starting your journey with us. Some of you have been with us a year or two and are in Champions League, doing very well. Whereas some of you have been with us a few years and are really at the top of your game and are either in Platinum or SuperSeller. But the word journey is very relevant right now. And that's because you're witnessing Payment Sense about to make a big leap into the next league. I mean, as you've seen in the call with Guy last week, I mean, Guy's our Chief Marketing Officer. We're going to be making the transition from Payment Sense to Dojo in September. And with that comes obviously new branding, new products, new systems, and even a new sort of plush office in Paddington. So this is a massive gear shift in the journey of Payment Sense. I mean, the company is moving into a completely new world now, and there's going to be huge opportunities for you to take your journey and your business to the next level. I mean, if you look back, I mean, Payment Sense has come a very long way in the last 10 years. And a lot of you have come on this journey with the company and built yourself a very successful business that has brought a lot of financial success to your life. So the word journey is very relevant right now, because you need to ask yourself, with Payment Sense moving into the new world of Dojo and SuperPay, what does this mean for you in your journey? I mean, the question is, you mean, so how far can you go on this journey with Payment Sense when we move into the next chapter? Can you go the whole way, or are you going to fall over? I mean, are you going to take full advantage of the opportunity and throw everything into this? So that's what we're going to discuss on this webinar, the journey. So the questions we'll start off with is, I mean, so how far have you come? Where do you want to get to? And how are you going to get there? And the journey of success with Payment Sense basically consists of 3 levels. I mean, 3 communities. You mean, start off if you've got the starters level, which is like the starters community, which is basically for newbies or else non-Champions League people. Next level, then you've got sort of Champions League, which is sort of the silver, gold, and platinum. But the absolute pinnacle, sort of SuperSeller level. So whereabouts do you sit in that journey with the company today? So on this webinar, I want to discuss, how do you build yourself a journey in a business that will take you from the ground level of sort of startup phase the whole way up to the sort of the pinnacle levels of success at SuperSeller level. So I've asked a few people who have come through all of these 3 levels and have reached the absolute summit of success and are in sort of the SuperSeller or maybe the platinum level. Now, we're in good company here today. I've asked 4 guests on who they've built themselves a really lucrative business in generating incomes of anything from approximately 15K per month up to the 60 to 70K per month in commission, I mean. This is obviously before the lockdown. So I've asked these guys to come on here and basically to put everything on the table. How have they built their business up where they're making ridiculous amounts every month? Now, I've requested that they don't keep their cards close to their chest. I want them to share their tips and their secrets to becoming a SuperSeller and share this with you. So let me introduce you to our 4 panelists. We've got Tim Martin, who's a super seller. We've got Packy Lee, who's a super seller, aka Johnny Dogs from the Blinders. We've got James Roberts, who's a super seller, and Nick Gold, who's a platinum seller. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass over to start with Tim Martin. And I'm going to go around everybody just very quickly, and they're going to give you sort of a brief introduction to them and a bit of a brief on their journey so far. So, Tim, over to you.
Afternoon all. Thank you, Steve. So I started with Payment Sense in April 2017, so just over 3 years ago now. I was previously working with my brother and had been since day dot. So, and that was in a totally different field to this. So I didn't know card machines existed. I didn't know you could even buy them or rent them or whatever it was. I was getting a little bit bored before starting here, and a friend of mine who works at Payment Sense introduced me to it. I did the training back in February and decided it was a complete joke and that it was just a week I wasted in training. I then cracked on working with my brother doing security fencing and gates until we had an exceedingly large fallout on the 1st of April. And I had nothing to do. So I thought, well, I've done this training, this awfully useless week I spent, I might as well see if I can earn some money from it. So I officially started on the 1st of April. I think I did my first deal on the 7th or 8th of April, I think it was. And then kind of the rest is history. I managed to hit 338,000 LTR live on the 1st of Jan this year, or the month of January this year, which I think is a company record. And yeah, that's kind of it really. So yeah, I've been here for exactly 3 years and a month now. So I think that's about enough as to who I am and where I come.
Okay, thanks, Tim. Packy, we'll move over to you for your introduction.
Hi, thanks, Steve. Hello, guys. So I've been with the company for 5 years. I joined in March. I met Bridget at a different job selling telephone lines, and she spent 6 months trying to convince me that Payment Sense was the way forward. I spent 6 months telling her it wasn't. I finally broke, and lo and behold, the first month I finished on 22,000 LTR. Which was more money on commission than I would get in 3 months in my previous job. And that continued every single month for the last 5 years. I started with the Mini. I rented out the Mini. It was £60 a week. The hardest part for me in this job to start off with was face-to-face sales, because I'd done everything over the phone previous to this. So doing face-to-face was a bit of a worry. Do I look okay? Can they see I'm nervous? Can I, be professional enough to deal with this in a face-to-face manner? And lo and behold, here we are. I've never come out of Champions League, I believe. I think maybe once for a split day. And it's continuous hard work and continuous drive to get that platinum every month, to keep that residual going, to keep those sales going. I do it all on my own. I don't have any secret. That's why we're here today, to share this with people. Other people do it with other help from other people that they bring in. Because, like you says, I am in another show at the minute. I do a bit of acting. I can't rely on people doing other things for me and then me having to drop the hat and go away and film for 6 weeks while they book me on appointments. So the fact that Payment Sense allow me to do that and come and go as I please has been an absolute lifesaver for me and my whole entire family. People look at me and think the car I'm driving is because of Peaky Blinders. The house I'm in is because of Peaky Blinders. None of it is because of Peaky Blinders. It's because of Payment Sense. And if it wasn't, I wouldn't be telling 200 plus people that. And that's my story.
Great. Thanks for that, Packy. Nick, we'll move up to you for your introduction.
Thank you, Steve. Good afternoon, everybody. I've been with Payment Sense now for 6.5 years, and I keep pinching myself every day because it's genuinely a second career and a journey that I never thought would happen. I'd had a long career in sales and marketing, and I came out of that and did some consulting for a few years. and you were constantly repitching yourself to other people. So I was struggling at that. And I bumped into, having done some research, Payment Sense, had an initial interview. And I would say, common to what Packy and Tim have said, I messed about probably for the first 6 months. I didn't really get involved. Once I did start to get involved, it's just been a roller coaster journey from me. I really enjoy what I'm doing. I've met so many interesting people doing the job, and I can't thank the company enough for the opportunity it's given me. It genuinely is a career that I never expected to have. I don't see it stopping anytime in the future, and I try as hard and as best I can to adapt to all the changes that are coming along in the business, the new technology, what's happening. And if you can stay with that curve, it's so exciting for me. I can't really thank everybody enough for the support I've had at all levels in the company, right through from people in head office to people out in the field to senior management. And I'm very humbled and proud to be in front of everybody here today, supporting Steve and the rest of my colleagues. So I hope I can add some value as we go through today. But 6.5 years later, I'm great. I'm still here.
Great. Thank you, Nick. And last but not least, James, if you want to give us your brief.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. So I've been with the company 2.5 years today. I started at the end of October 2017. Again, I stumbled on it by accident. I was looking to set up a business of my own, and I was having a chat with Tim actually, because I knew him from past, and he said, why don't you come and sell card machines? And I didn't know card machine business existed, like they've said. Did the training, and I started on the 21st of October, and by the 1st of November I had 3 deals live, because when we did the training we had like an incentive to extra commission on the first week. So I revved it up and got my first 3 deals in, and my second signing was 8,500 LTR. I had no idea what LTR meant, and Tim rang me up and he was so excited about this deal I'd got in, and like the fact I just earned 2.5 grand off one deal was unreal. So from literally the first week in joining Payment Sense, I had the sort of my LTR specs on, and I love it. I've been, to say, with the company for 2.5 years. I originally set a goal when I first had my training. We had to write on a board what our target earnings were, and I set them to 5k a month, and I thought if I achieve that, I'll be smashing it. And I've been with the company ever since and never looked back, and it's basically climbing the ladder, climbing the stairs, and growing my business, being more and more successful.
Okay, so thanks guys. So just like to our audience there, we've got a Q&A box at the bottom. So if you feel you want to ask a question or you want to leave a comment, by all means, please ping them in there. There's now 215 people on this call, so we probably won't get through all the questions. So please do feel free to ping any questions, either directed to everybody or directed to one person, and we'll try our best to get those answered. So to kick off really the questions, what I want to do is, because the theme of this call is the journey, and we'll probably have a lot of sort of newbies or people who've been new into the business in the last 6 months. I want to ask a question to the guys. So take yourself back to your first year with Payment Sense. When you started, what was your approach? How did you get going in that first months? What was the challenges that you had on a daily basis? And really the goal for any sort of newbie that comes into the business is to get the Champions League sort of within sort of that first sort of 6 months. So the question is, how did you going back to the start that first year? How did you get started? How did you get that first sale? What was the challenges? And really, how did you go from 0 to 10 sales in a month? So we'll take that call. I will take that question first of all to Nick.
Okay. Thank you, Steve. When I started off, I decided that my approach would be to pick on two towns. I live in Coventry, so just to the south of me are Warwick and Leamington, and I decided that I would literally walk those whole towns, knock on every single door, and just introduce myself to people. Cold calling, completely, not probably with not a knowledge in the early days, but what I did do is if I promised somebody that I would either call them back or follow up, I did that. And it was just really going round and round on that route, round and round, speaking to people. And immediately I made a sale. And the first sale didn't come straight away. It probably took me 3 or 4 weeks to make the first sale. When I made that first sale, I maximised on that first sale, asked and went back to my old background, asked for referrals. I then started talking to other people. Well, I've got that as a customer, etc., as my customers grow. But I was very honest with people going around in the early days that I wasn't an expert. And I was new to the business, but if I didn't know something, there was somebody I could talk to and I would come back to them with the answer for that question. But in many instances, once I started to build my confidence, that was probably the turning point in the job. And building that confidence was all about reading statements, understanding how statements work. So you do things on the training course when you go through initially, but then when you get in the field, you know, and even I'm saying it as an older person, you perhaps start to panic a bit when you've got that information. So you just need to take a deep breath, slow down. And if you think the customer knows more than you, they don't. You know 10 or 50 times more than the customer. And, you know, I've listened to people on the other group calls this week, such as Alex, the way he's gone through statements. And you pick up little things. Yes, I go through exactly the same way when I was talking to a customer, and you just pick out a line and you build on that. And it was really interesting that as the business grew, I was actually turned away from some customers in the early days. They didn't want to see me. Yet 3, 6 months or even a year, 2 years later, I've gone back to those same customers and signed them up. So starting off in those 2 towns, it was really a nucleus for me to build from. But I knew every business in that town. I knew what businesses were closing, what businesses were opening, what businesses were struggling. And as I started to build my customer base, you know, I've got some streets in Leamington and Warwick where I've got 25 customers in one street. And once you start to build those numbers, you start to talk to other people and they start to feed you information and start to feed you referrals. So in that early day, it was really about leveraging on the early stuff and build as much as I could, but actually keep yourself busy, going out to speak to people and just getting yourself into a routine every day.
Okay, thanks, Nick. Same question to Tim.
So, as like I said a few minutes ago, I didn't know anything about the industry. So like Nick, it was a completely green area. I took probably slightly different approach in terms of I don't like cold calling. In fact, I perfectly hate it. So I thought, okay, what do I do? So I signed up my neighbour, who was a dentist, and I knew him. And I basically said, look, this is a new role to me. I'm going to look after you, but you look after me. I'll make sure you save some money, but do this for me. I then signed someone else up down my road where I live, who ran a little bar in a football club. The dentist guy then gave me a referral, and I suddenly had 3 people. And that was within the first, they were relatively small LTR, first one being about 600-700, but they were all within the first week and a bit. That gave me a massive, boost in confidence. And I thought, well, if I don't like cold calling, what else am I going to do? So I spent a lot of evenings just going through my phone, going through my contacts, shifting through every single person I knew and who they knew. And then approached a couple of, being from the security industry, I knew quite a lot in the bathroom trade and also in builders, merchants and grab lorry companies. So I thought, well, I know a few of these, let's hit them. And for probably the first couple of months, that's all I hit. But probably the most important thing to me was, having come out of a relatively safe employed job, is, you can feel comfortable. And I had been very comfortable in my previous role. And that really had a massive impact on me. And particularly the first 2 months in Payment Sense, I really struggled because I was well out of my comfort zone. And something that I just had a consistently regular income through, to suddenly not having anything. In the first month, I pretty much had a month's worth of money in the bank, and I was like, what do I do? And that drove me to go, okay, I need to hit 10K. 10K at the time was for teleappointing. And I remember pleading with Gavin and Steve back then as to how to get to that 10K. And I somehow managed it through milking my own contacts. And it kind of went from there. By August 2017, I'd hit platinum, which was in 4 months. And I thankfully have never dropped off since. And one of the really key drivers or key learners to me in the first sort of going from newbie to Champions League in those first 4 months were time and effort. And with Payment Sense, the more time and the more effort you put in, the more you get out of it. Along with, and this is a real key thing for me, was it's not all about working hard, it's also about working smart. So, everyone can say you can slog, if you are doing cold calling, you go to the nearest high street and you slog it. Well, that's what every seller's doing. That every seller from every company will be going to the nearest high street. So go outside of that high street, go to shops which are going to be less hit. If you've got a car, you're privileged to have a car, drive to shops that are going to be away from people that are going to get the train to. So maybe industrial estates, maybe country pubs. And that's what I did along with milking my contacts, and took myself to platinum in 4 months. So that kind of is that answer, I think, as to where I've been on that Champions League journey.
Okay, same question to Mr. Roberts.
Yeah, so very much like Nick, I started the last week in October, as I said, and it was raining. The weather didn't do me any favours, but I thought I've got to get out there. I've got to knock doors. I've got to speak to people. My first 2 customers were people I knew. One was a barber's and one was a miniature railway sort of kids holiday out place. And they were customers I knew from my previous job, so I had a rapport with them and I got them signed up. And from there, I kind of thought I would speak to people I knew from my previous job. And I think by the first 12 months of being in Payment Sense, about 10% of my customers were people I previously knew. The other 90% were a completely new funnel. And that purely came from referrals, looking after people. And again, similar to Nick, you work in a town centre, you speak to a couple of local businesses and they get on with the business opposite on the streets. They send you in there, who in turn sends you across the road to someone else. And you kind of walk in and say, Dave sent me from over the road, and you're in there and you've got to sign up. It's kind of how I built my business, build a rapport with individuals who recommend you to other individuals. I also did what Tim did, go through your contacts on your phone. And it's surprising how many people are on there whose partner, or they may own a pub, or some might run a bakery, or all of your sort of individual businesses that I'm going to say the easy sell, because you walk in and the person you need to speak to is behind the counter. So you've got their attention straight away. One key thing I did notice once, I was actually in a shop and there was another rep in there from, I think it was Barclaycard, and he walked in and he was very abrasive. He walked straight up to the counter, overtook the queue of customers and tried to start dealing with the guy who was obviously the owner, who was serving his customers. Well, that's not really a good impression in my book. So I just waited at the back of the queue. The other guy was turned away and I actually got a sale. I just waited patiently. So don't walk in being the sort of big abrasive sales guy. Just take stock of what's going on, and the transaction in front might have a problem with it, or the machine might dip out, so then you've got a problem you can latch onto. So you're looking at what might be going wrong with the guy's merchant services as well, because I've had that before, where you've seen something go wrong and you're about to latch onto that and you're providing a solution. And that's where cost doesn't really come into a situation. They want a solution rather than looking at percentages. So obviously helps with your earnings and your LTR. But I'm just going to beat the referral drum. Referrals. It's helped me massively. And even in this last month with the COVID shutdown, I've gone back to my customers and they've referred me. I've done a lot of motos and e-coms. I've done a few new sales, but it's mainly referrals.
Okay, thanks, James. And Packy, same question.
Okay, so mine's straightforward. I'm not going to mess around with the whole, I'm going to go straight hard, brass tacks. One sale was getting me at least a minimum £50 plus. So LTR's all great. Let's just park that aside a minute, because I used to work for £65 to £85 max a day, then taxed, then national insurance, minimum £275 to maybe £300, say, a week. Now that's it. O2, call centre. Not ashamed. That's the wages, end of story. So my first sale was worth £275. And Bridget says to me, that's your week's wages. And I said, it is. And she said, it's 11:30 in the day. Now you have two options. You either get in the car, you enjoy your wee drive home, and you think to yourself, listen, that's a week's wages, I ain't getting home. Or you get in the car and you go and try and get another week's wages today. So I did that. And the way of doing this, and the way I've always did this from the day one, and I haven't waited 6 months and 6 weeks. I got my first sale on my first day. I got my first sale before I finished training, because in training, you told us, Steve, to go now on the Thursday before we finished on the Friday and start building the leads. So, you know, we did that. And you and Adam Irvine are partly the reason why I was so hungry and greedy, is because you showed me the competition out there, and I just wanted to be up there with the best, because I felt I was in the other call centre but not being rewarded for it. And the way of doing that was to paint the picture for the customer. So rates and numbers are fine, but what's the overall savings? Is the overall savings there? What's the company like? Or what are you like as a person? Remember, the one most important thing that we do is we sell. But the customer buys the product and you. So there's a big deal in that. And that was the difference turning point for me in training and bringing that straight out. So I've stayed to that every single time. I'm very honest to this day, and nothing's changed for me. I haven't changed my strategy. It works all the time. It doesn't go big, massive numbers like 300,000, and I respect those numbers massively, and hopefully sometime it will. But my numbers are consistent because that's what I want, and that's the way I want to do it. If I can get bigger money, great. But I'm afraid of losing out on my bread and butter, which is my door-to-door knocking, my door-to-door sales. Yes, there's referrals, but I like new sales. I like going to places where people's never heard of us. Yes, I get a lot. Are you the guy from Peaky Blinders? Well, the acting mustn't be working out. I haven't got time to explain to them and what the money's like with Payment Sense compared to it, but I'll be completely honest. On my first month with Payment Sense, which was the month of April, 5 years ago, which is 5 years this month, my wages was £5,200. Now listen, I was getting 11 grand for a year, 42 hours a week. I didn't need any more motivation. And I don't know who does need any more motivation to go and do it. I need a lot more learning, and there's other things I am. Nicholas Gold's great at helping me with structures, companies, organizations, that's great. But you gotta knock the door. You gotta go and paint the picture. And if you don't, then you're not going to get it. So in reality terms, if you can earn £300 or £400 on 1 or 2 sales in a day, then my goodness, have a look at somebody around the corner who is working for the NHS, and they do not get a fraction of what we get. Not bringing that into the case, but you know, anybody. My friends have a car wash, £55 a day. That's what he pays the staff. £55 a day. There's jobs that pay those jobs and pay them. And with us, we're very lucky, and I thank God every day for Payment Sense and what we've got, that we can do £55 with 1 sale. And that's just the start of our day. So we got to be hungry and go and get it. That's my trick to the trade.
Okay, great. Let's jump a question. So you've all reached the pinnacle, and you're on top of your game by reaching either platinum or SuperSeller. But let's go deeper. Give me a deep dive into your business today. Take me through your setup, have you got a team working for you? Have you got teleappointers working for you? Have you got admin? Give me a breakdown of your day, your week, your month, and what's the secret to the consistency? And more importantly, what a lot of people want to know is, where do you get leads? And if you do get leads, where do you get them from, and how did you set it up? So give me a full deep dive of your business today and how you set that up. We'll start with you, Tim.
Thanks, Steve. So starting off with team, I don't have a teleappointer and I never have had a teleappointer. My entire business is built on referrals now. And as James said, and I've got it written down here, referrals, referrals, referrals. However, what I do have, and I have had for a while now, is someone to look or help and assist with my customer service and my admin. Now, for me, if I can get my customer service somewhere good and my admin spot on, I know that my customers are going to be in the best position to give me referrals. Now, I can go and get, I can sign someone up fast, then forget about them, and then get a teleappointer that can just fill me with leads. But, that's not much fun. So I prefer to get my existing customer base well looked after and then get referrals from them. So no, I don't have a teleappointer, but I do have an amazing person who looks after the customer service and the admin side, the PCIs, the cancelling of client lines, and the rest of it, because that's what builds you a great reputation. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure I've made plenty of mistakes, but if I can really build on my own reputation, that's gonna get me my referrals. My second point is I always have the next month's LTR in the bag. That's been really important for me to consistently hit larger numbers, so 100K, 200K. You're going to really struggle to do 150K from docs in to error to credit approved to live in 1 month. It's nigh on impossible. But if you come from the previous month with 150 sat in credit approved or error, you can hit the next month knowing that month's LTR is in the bag. So you're now working on to, going into May, I'm now concentrating on June's LTR because I know May's LTR is in the bag. And that's massively taken the pressure off me in terms of my monthly earnings, because I know my next month earning is in place. It gives me the freedom to sell and know that, there's people that are going to want to have a docs in and they're going to want to have it live ASAP. No problem, we'll turn it around fast. This is 24 hours I've ever done. But I don't have to worry about getting that particular deal docs into live in the space of a few days, because it's not required for that month's LTR figure. I have got, in terms of referrals, I have quite a lot of associates I work with now. And I know Steve's mentioned it quite a few times before as to how I operate, and that is I do a lot of commission splits. No business I've ever known runs on 100% gross profit, and how we work as sellers, we don't have a lot of overheads. We have our time, our fuel, and maybe our staff, etc., if we have them, or people that we work with. So we're running an extremely profitable ship. So I've gone down the route of, if I give away 25% of what I earn, and I'm getting 75% less my other overheads, then I'm in a really good place, because even at 50% gross profit, that's a very successful business in the business world. So I have an awful lot of associates, partners, people that I work with. Now, this isn't EPOS partners, just before you all jump up and down and say you do loads of EPOS. Not at all. Everything outside of that, my EPOS partners are a minor percentage, probably less than 5% of my monthly LTR is from EPOS partners. The rest of it is from associates and other partners and existing client referrals that are happy to support me. Some want the commission split, some just want to do it because they want to look after you. So that is how I maintain. And going back to the question here, it's reaching platinum SuperSeller. I've been SuperSeller since it started, going back a year and a bit ago now. I don't intend to drop off it, which is quite a nice drive of mine. But it's all about, for me, it's all about looking after my existing customers. And if I do that, and my associates, partners, whatever you want to call them, my leads will automatically come to me.
Thanks, Tim. Packy, we'll go over to you. Same question.
That's great, Tim. Great to hear. Thanks, Steve. I'm the complete opposite, guys. So
here we go.
I do have a structure. Of course, I'm up at 9 every morning, and I'm making calls, booking appointments, etc. There's two different ways we look at this. Very quickly, I'd normally do a school run, and then once I've done the school run, I'd park near the motorway junction, more or less like the you know, where people get their bus to connect to work back and forward, and I'd make my calls. That would be my office in the car. Nothing like that's changed in the last 3 years, except over the last month I've been working from home, so it's been a bit different, which I'm happy enough doing because I'm driving a lot less miles, and I'm actually doing as much sales, which is great. I don't have any associates I work with. I don't have any partners. I don't have any tele appointments except Payment Sense. I don't have anybody else. I am 100% LPR. It is all my money. End of. That's the way I want it. That's the way it's been. That's what way it's worked for me from the day one. Would I split commission? Of course I would. 100%. Would I split with associates? Of course, exactly like Tim. If I can get 50% of the bigger number, of course it's going to be a lot higher than what the figure is of 100. So yes, on average, I'd normally finish on 20 to 30,000 every single month. So if we're going to talk money on that terms, I've done over 200 grand LTR from December. Now, that's mine, and that's how I work that. The only way I can drive that is by going out and getting the £1,000 LTR deals, the £600 LTR deals. And then by knocking enough doors, I will come across the bigger ones. Now, I have been lucky enough to go into the Ulster Chemist Association that has a lot of chemists, and what they done was I asked them to send an email out to all the chemists in Northern Ireland and say that, you know, would they leave the bill for me to look at, and if I can make a savings, they recommend coming with me. So that was a brilliant help for me at the start of my first year in Payment Sense, but it was a lot of driving, a lot of journeys. The LTR was very low and it was very hard work. But was it worth it? Yes, 100%. The LTR was worth it because it's continuously 20, 30,000 every single month. And the only way I do that is some referrals, not many. Like I said, I'm the complete opposite. Mine's are the appointments coming from Payment Sense and from going through the wonderful tool of Mothership, but most importantly, just by going through Google, newspapers, posters. If I'm out with the kids and I look across the way and I see shops, I take a quick photograph. I'll zoom in later when I'm having a cup of tea, see if there's any numbers there. I'll go through Mothership, see if anybody owns it, signs it, have even got a machine. And I do that, and I enjoy it. I enjoy chasing the sale. I love it. I'm addicted to it. So there's different ways of looking at it. I am trying to look at a way of bringing things a bit more in a structured way. Yes, my LTR is in the bag this month. It's never in the bag the following month. You can ask Davey and you can ask Breaching. If it's in ERA, I'm fixing it. It will be credit approved and it will be laid by the end of the month. I will start in zero and I'll only finish on the 2025. So totally get it, Tim. But that's the way I do it, to make sure that my guaranteed with residuals is a minimum £15,000 a month in my hand, not LTR. I know people's getting confused between LTR and commission. This is my money. That's the difference this job makes comparing to every other job, and I'm addicted to it. So when you're bitten by it, and I have friends that work for this company, and they are bitten by the same bug. Because when they get a sale, they can't help but go and get the next one, and then they're phoning and going, I got it, and I'm going, I know you got it. Go and get another one. Go and get more. How much the LPR? Never mind, it's a sale. As long as it starts money in the bank, and move on to the next one. And when you sit down and everything's done and everything's calculated, it's always worth it. There's nobody ever disappointed with their earnings because they're always past approving the invoice to the next sale. And that's what I love about the job.
Great. Thanks, Paggy. Nick, over to you. Same question.
Thank you, Steve. I think where I've got to today is, if you like, a mixture of everybody's journeys, and we've all got there's all common strands listening to everybody. James has spoke about building rapport and offering solutions. Paggy, has spoken about how he works. My wife works on the front line of the NHS, so I know how poorly paid people are for doing what is today a highly risky job. And then you compare the massive rewards for this job. My system and where I've moved to where I am today, I started something in the first year, and many people have seen this before, but when I meet a customer for the first time or I prospect them, I stick it in my Google Diary and I print off that appointment and I put it in a clear plastic folder. When I've quoted that customer, it moves into a yellow folder. When it's docs out, it's a blue folder, or it may jump straight to a green one when it's signed. And then finally, if it's in error or I need to do something with it, it's a red folder. So I've kept a process that's very, very simple in its operation, but it's allowed me to gear up over the, what's going to be at the end of this year, 7 years here. It's something I started at the beginning that's allowed me to build up all the way through, so that all the time I know, very similar to Tim, not the same numbers because I'm more in Packy's pen there in that respect, but I always want to know that if I'm in platinum, I've got the next month's business already in hand. So in other words, all the time, keep an eye and put some management tools and measure your business, because it is your business. And looking at that measure, I want to know that if I'm in a month, I've already done the next month's business as a buffer, so I've got no pressure on myself to do that. So having a strong pipeline is the key, in my opinion, to where I've got to today. Additionally, as I started making money, as this is where residuals came along in the first instance, I've reinvested that money. So my setup is I've got somebody that works for me to do the service and admin element that Tim spoke about. Many people around the company have met Alan. Alan, who works for me, he comes over. I've got a large office in the house here with 2 desks in it. He's here at 7 o'clock every morning, and between 7 and 9, I'm planning my day. So we're clearing all the errors and all the issues that need to be done, what customers need to be contacted, and I'm throwing Alan the red folders to say, get that one out of a red folder and get it back into a green one. So I know exactly where I am. He also does for me all the exit letters. So, all the exit letters to customers from the agreement, I do it the old-fashioned way with a recorded delivery letter that I have drafted when I go along to the customer when I do the install. I have the letter pre-drafted that Alan's done to me to their old supplier. I sign it, it goes in the envelope, and it goes in the post box. And Tim's point there was so important. If you deliver good customer service and you've got a good admin structure around you, that gives customers confidence on the journey that they've been on to take you onto that journey going forward. And I think in doing that, it's also important that you build internal relationships. When you pick up people to the phone in the office, and, a great one, Charlotte Platten was off. She was furlonged and she came back. But immediately she came back, that voice on the end of the phone. Hi, Charlotte, how are you doing, etc., etc. And that's so important because it is lonely here out in the field sometimes. And to be able to have colleagues that, if you like, are important to you in the office for doing your job, because our success is all built on the people that support us in the office. So I try and do a deal every single day. So that's the target I set myself. It doesn't matter, just like Packy, if it's a £500 or £600 deal, it's a deal. And all those deals build up, your residuals build up. And, I'm earning now probably more than I've ever earned in my career. And also, as a former sales director for a company, a large company, I'm earning more than I was doing that job without all the different corporate pressure of somebody's phone going off and they're being on call 24 hours a day. So you're able to manage your time. So once my money's grown in this business, I've invested that money in people around me. And the other thing I would say is my business is diverse. So I think one of the things I don't think anybody's picked up on yet is I haven't sold in just one market. So I've got dentists, I've got chemists, I've got lots of pubs and restaurants, I've got butchers, I've got bakers, I've got car garages. So what I've been able to do is during this COVID period, I've been able to lock into customers for, so I've gone back to a lot of my pub customers and they've taken the bike back facility or they're taking e-com facilities to allow them to trade. But I've also gone back to butchers where I've helped them as well, and bakers. So looking at all your different customer base, the more diverse a customer base you can build this yourself, the more risk averse you are to exposure within your business. But, you know, I say again to Steve, I said earlier, this is a second career I never expected. I really enjoy it. I love talking to all my colleagues, because on all these sessions I've been on, I've learned there's been a little gem from everybody that has made a comment, and you can just say, yes, I can reflect back on that. That's how I work.
Okay, thanks, Nick. James, same question.
Yeah, so I'm very similar to Nick in that respect. I came out of starter phase and I came into Champions League, and I was maintaining figures. I was up and down a bit, and every time we'd go to London office, Steve would grab me by the neck and sort of shake me, said, "Come on, what's going on? You're sort of so inconsistent." I thought he was going to red code me. But no, anyway, I stuck with it, and I found that my issue was I had so much in error, and I hated dealing with admin. So I was bumbling along. If a deal went to bank and got credit approved, happy days, was laughing on to the next one. And I would sometimes have up to 50k sat in error, and that would last, you know, roll on to the month. So I was kind of getting very frustrated with it. And I ended up employing somebody who works with me now. Originally started part-time, she now works full-time, Katie, so I need to give her a shout out because she's helped me massively. So Katie looks after my diary. She motivates me because, as Nick said, it's a very lonely job. You're on your own a lot. And she looks after the docs out for me. She looks after errors, and it's a massive boost for me, which has helped me to maintain into platinum. And now I'm in SuperSellers. I was in it last year. I dipped out of it, and I'm back in it. And my target is to maintain that. And we've just what we're doing now is building a mini CRM system, so similar to what Nick does. Ours is all electronic. A couple of people, I know Darren Skeets uses it, and a few other people on our team use it. So we're currently building that, and that's helps you keep your pipeline full. I'm very much like Tim. Next month's LTR is basically in the bag, so I can concentrate on the month ahead. So I've got that buffer. I think it's very, very important to keep your pipeline full. I always use the analogy of a sausage machine. The more that goes in, the more that comes out. So just keep your leads coming in, keep your referrals coming in, always speak to people, especially in this lockdown COVID situation. Go back to customers, say, look, I'm here to help you. What can I do to help you? And we've ended up selling them bite back. We've ended up selling them motos, etc. Customers were going to cancel direct debits and leave because they didn't want to have all the monthly direct debits going out their account. So we've been able to assist them, kind of play a bit of a customer service role as well. And that was kind of something that was dragging me down. I'm good at being in front of people and closing the sale. And I found that I was doing a lot of firefighting and doing a lot of customer service work. So again, that's where Katie comes into play. She's excellent at that and helps me concentrate on what I'm doing. So I would say, look after customers, support them with their PCI. One big thing we found, especially this last month, is make a note, diarise when a customer's PCI is due to expire, because they never check their emails, although payment sends email, they never check it. And I've been back to them, and in this last month, we've saved hundreds of customers, £35 a month. Over, I think more than 50% of my customers were non-compliant. So we've gone in and we've reset passwords, and we've helped them get compliant. And to a small barber, £35 a month on a direct debit is a big chunk of money. And they remain grateful for you, so they're not going to leave you. And obviously then that helps your residual payments. My residuals now are about £7,000 to £8,000 a month. And I never even dreamed of that when I started with the company. So you look after your customers, because yes, you get your initial commission, but then their residuals are always going to keep you backed up. And again, like Nick, my customers are very diverse. I've got mechanics. I do a lot with butchers because I worked hard with the National Association of Butchers. I've got a few bakeries. I've got timber yards. I've got dentists, doctor surgeries. I've got a wide spectrum of customers. So while some are closed, some are still open. So you're still going to keep trading and obviously still keep that pipeline full. But referrals, I'm going to always say referrals for me work, and keep that pipeline full. Keep people interested in you. I'm talking to people now who I can't sign up because they're closed. But as soon as obviously the lockdown's over and business start trading, I'm going to get out there and I've got people I know I'm going to go and see. So I won't be starting from zero. And if you keep that pipeline full, the sausage machine, as I like to call it, it's just it helps you keep moving forward. It keeps your wheels on track.
Can I just say, Steve? Can I just say it's very important that we understand. Do you mean, and this is to help, because I know that this is something I'm always OCDC about, but what Tim and James are talking about is having pipeline sales that haven't been completely approved in the pipeline, or approved but no machines ordered, rather than Champions League status of platinum level in the bag. Do you understand? Isn't that just so people are very aware of the difference in that?
Yeah, it's important.
Just pinpointing it out, you know.
So guys, I've been going through the questions that a lot of people have been putting up, and one question I'm getting a lot is people have maybe been with the business for 6 months and they're running up and down high streets and they're working 40-hour weeks and they're still only managing to maybe do 10, 15K per month. And it's very frustrating when they come to see my month-end report and they see all these names up at the top, SuperSellers, whoever, who are doing 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s and 300s. And then all of a sudden, I feel there's a perception that, oh, the SuperSellers get partners handed to them. They get leads just falling out of the sky that the business is giving to them. And there's that perception. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to bridge the gap. How does the average guy who's 6 months into the business, running up and down high streets, only doing 10, 15K per month? Let's get into the nitty gritty here. Somebody wants to know basically, how do I set up a partner? How do I get leads? How do I get more referrals? I mean, how can I set up somebody who I can maybe do a commission share with, or set up some sort of system where they send me 20, 30, 40 leads a month? I mean, that's what people want to know, because that's the big gap. Because the reality is we haven't just handed out partners, and I mean, you guys have set them all up yourselves. So explain that step up of how somebody can go from doing the door to door, and I mean, they're 6 months in and they feel like they haven't come off the first step, but then they see somebody doing 100K. Talk about, and let's go deep. You mean, as in, how do you set up these partnerships with either non-integrated or whoever, where you're getting a lot of leads from? Tim.
Really, really good point. So I've never been given an EPOS company. The only EPOS company I work with, I brought to Payment Sense. So, you know, no, there isn't such a case of, you know, just because we're doing big figures, it means we're getting given leads. The biggest thing that I've done, as I said a few minutes ago, non-integrated partners. The first one is look at your accountant. So most of you are going to have accountants for doing your books. Well, don't tell me that you are the only person your accountant looks after. He knows you, he trusts you. So why not get him to introduce you to more people? I mean, that's just one that every single person that should, you know, a self-employed person will have a dealing with some form of accountant. Well, that's your first point. They will have leads for you. And then sit back and just think of different people that might, a small cash and carry, anyone that has dealings with other customers. They are all people that are potentially giving you leads. If you've got a customer, let's say a little football club, well, don't tell me that little football club doesn't know other football clubs. If you've got a dentist, they're normally in some part of some local community or local group of dentists. Don't tell me that they don't know other dentists. That's where that referral, and then you can turn people that give you referrals into partners. It doesn't, you know, just because they're giving you referrals doesn't mean they can't become a partner, because they got, you know, most people will know people. But my biggest bit of advice is start with your accountant. If you really are at a loss to find someone for leads, speak to your accountant, because your accountant will deal with other businesses and your accountant knows you.
Thanks, Tim. Anybody else want to take that question? I'm just going to put it to one more.
Yeah, I'll give it a go.
Go ahead.
So I've brought on board the Association for the National Craft Butchers, and I got that by the local butcher I used to go in probably 3 times a week to buy bacon roll at lunchtime. and he knew my face. He recognised me. I went in there probably 6 months after I started with Payment Sense, and I didn't think he'd signed up because I was on a kind of friendly basis with him, and he was just that old-fashioned butcher, stuck in his ways, and I just thought, no, we're not going to do it. He signed up. Anyway, he's kind of handed over the business now to his son, who's obviously takes a more modern approach to business, is not so traditional, I'll say, and they've got a small forum. They're a small business section. And there's about 20 butchers formed they call it the BBC, the Butchers Business Club, and a group of butchers got together to share ideas. He said to me one day, he texted me and said, "You've done a fantastic job for us," and also a few other people on the street. He said, "I've put your phone number in a WhatsApp group." Within that week, I had 3 people call me butchers, and I managed to get them signed up. I was then invited to, they had an annual conference. It was in May of 2018, and they had a barbecue get together at one of the butchers. I went along. I sponsored some bottles of wine. I put a few drinks forward and sponsored some of the meat and things for the barbecue. And I've pretty much got all 20 of them. I think there's one that's not signed up. They're all signed up with me. On the back of that, one of those butchers was a member of the National Craft Butchers, and he knew very well the chairman of the association. And I went and presented to them in York. They had their AGM, and that was last year. And we're now the preferred supplier for that group. So that particularly has worked very well. So that comes back to my initial thing. It's rapport, it's referrals. Without that initial butcher I got on board, that's one customer, has brought me into dozens of opportunities. And then each one of those butchers knows another butcher, or their wife's got a bakery or something like that. So I can't stress enough the referral thing, and build rapport with people, because they will then recommend you to people, and they do it off their back. Some people, like Tim said, they want a commission split. Other people do it because they like me, they want me to be successful, and they like what I've done. They're happy with the product Payment Sense has given them. I will say the Payment Sense app is a massive, massive selling point for us right now, especially for the independent trader. They can log in. A butcher at the end of the day, or whoever it is, loves to see their phone and see their takings in that day. And the likes of WorldPay and other companies obviously charge for that type of thing. So the app has been a huge, huge selling point for me.
Great, thanks, James. Okay, let's take some more questions from the audience. Question for Steve Cummings. What motivates you most? And give me a situation where you have wobbled and thought about quitting. Whoa, great question. Okay, so what motivates me most? I would say the answer to that is success. And by success, I don't necessarily mean money. Yes, money is a big factor, and I'm not afraid to say that I am very motivated by money. But like anyone else, I like to have a nice house or a nice car or a nice lifestyle, holidays. It is all a big driver. However, there is a bigger picture here. And for me, becoming successful is more than just about money. It's about feeling victory. It's about your family being super proud of your achievements. It's about self-respect. It's about having that inner feeling that you've achieved something in life. It's about getting better at what you do and feeling the progression, hence the word journey. So it's about providing, to me, it's about providing the best lifestyle for my family and giving them every opportunity to experience amazing things. To round it up, success to me is being at the very top of my game and receiving all the rewards that come from that. To give you an example, very early on in my career, I knew that my biggest motivation and goal in life was to become very successful. I wanted it so bad. But before I sort of set out on my journey of my sales career, I first of all did a lot of research in what it takes to become successful. So what I did is I seeked out 3 of the most successful people that I know in business, 3 very successful, wealthy people. And what I did is I interviewed them. I went and I met them, and then I studied them. And after my research was completed, I realized what the definition of success was. And that was that success is, it's not a destination, it's a journey. In other words, there is no, I will wake up one day and that's it, I'm now successful. Because when you get to one point in your journey where perhaps you've reached one goal, another personal goal will open up, and then it's one horizon opens another. So it was at this point I realized that to reach my goal of becoming successful, that it was going to be a long journey. However, you do receive the rewards as you go along, but those rewards will get bigger and further as you go further into the journey. But I remember before I started off on my journey, I had one question that I needed to answer. And that question was, I remember, is who am I? And what I mean by this is there's 2 types of people in this world. And let me give you an example. If you took all of the money in the world today and you split it evenly between every single person in the world, it's my belief that after a period of time, all the money will fall back into the same pockets again. And by that, I mean, it's because there's 2 different types of people in this world. You're either in this bag or in that bag. And these people over here, these people are what I call reasons people. And by that, I mean, these are the people that when you give them an opportunity, or you give them a large sum of money, or you give them an opening, it's only a matter of time before they squander it away. I mean, these are the people that don't take advantage of business opportunities given to them, or they spend all the money that's given to them, or they fuck up basically the opening that was given to them, whether it was a job opportunity or to build a business or a career. But guess what? They will always come up with a reason as to why they didn't succeed. They'll have a list of them as to why they didn't make it. It will always be everybody else's fault. I mean, they're sort of that's reasons people for you. Over here in this bag, you've got what's called results people. And these are the people that grab opportunities. These are the people that sort of turn small openings into huge success. These are results people. They strive for success. I mean, they're winners. Failure's not an option. They make shit happen. And these are the people that basically move up in the world. You take George and Jan, for example. If you took Payment Sense and all of their millions of pounds off them tomorrow, it would only be a matter of time before they were back in the same position again. I mean, they would start again and then they were back in the same position again. Why? Because they're results people. So before I started off on my journey, I asked myself that honest question: who am I? Am I a reasons person or am I a results person? And you should ask yourself the same question. You mean, and if you are a reasons person, you have to be honest. And if you are a reasons person, that's okay. The starting point is admitting it, but then get to work now in changing that to become a results person. Are you the person that squanders opportunities away and then goes from job to job to job, or new opportunity to new opportunity to new opportunity? Or are you the person that gets out there and just makes shit happen? So to answer your question of what motivates me, it's success, but also helping and watching my team become successful. I mean, today, that is my main sort of motivator. I mean, watching my team and these guys on this call, and many, many, many more few sellers out there watching you go on your journeys and become successful, watching people in my team go from a standstill to becoming very financially successful, and their life changing right in front of my eyes over a period of time, as some of the guys have talked about. I mean, that is my biggest driver today. So hopefully that answers your question. And what was the second half of the question? Give me an example where you have wobbled and thought about quitting. Yeah, that's a good one. So the one story that sort of sticks in my mind, because it really only came to light recently, is, listen, first of all, the reality is, it doesn't matter who you are. There are times where you get down or you hit a brick wall. It happens to us all. But I'll take you back to my early days when I was a seller, going door to door, self-employed, commission only, selling telecoms. I'll never forget it. And one day I walked in, this is 16 years ago, one day I walked into a clothes shop and I started pitching the guy behind the counter. And then it dawned on me halfway through my pitch, I know this guy from somewhere, I know this guy. And it turned out that he was a guy I went to school with. He was in my class, and it wasn't his shop, it was his father's shop. But here I was, found myself pitching telecoms to this guy, and for some reason, I don't know why, but I was very, very embarrassed. And when he said no to me and sent me packing, basically, I walked out of that shop in a completely different headspace. I mean, for some reason, I started getting all these thoughts, stupid thoughts in my head. Here I am, a door-to-door salesman on commission only, and I find myself in the position where I'm pitching my old school friend. And I don't know why, but I walked out of that shop feeling like a complete loser, basically going nowhere in life. I don't know, was it maybe pride? Was it because I knew him? Was it because there's a stigma attached to sales that it's a dirty job? And here was me with my big ego? I don't know. But something hit me that day where I felt very low. And I came very, very close to quitting that day. Probably because I thought that I was above being the door-to-door salesman. But then it dawned on me. I was like, hold on, why am I feeling like this? You mean, at that stage, I was making around probably £1,000 per week in commission. And here was this guy sort of working in this shop, probably on half of that. Yet here was me feeling like the loser. But anyway, I very quickly sort of shook myself down, got control of my thoughts, battled on. This is 16 years ago. But what's very interesting is it was just before Christmas just gone. I mean, that was 16 years ago. And just before Christmas just gone, I was out shopping for a pair of jeans. And I was in a shop. And then it dawned on me that this is the same shop. And guess what? My little friend was still working there behind the counter. But this time around, I walked out of that shop with a smile on my face. Why? Because on that day, 16 years ago, I very nearly quit and probably would have left the sales arena completely and wouldn't be sitting here. Now, that guy didn't do anything wrong that day. I mean, he just said no to me, bastard. It then dawned on me, it just dawned on me just before Christmas there when I was back in that shop and that same guy was behind that counter, of how far that I had come from that day. I mean, here he is, still in the same job, same shop, probably on very average money. And with respect, I say that, right? Whereas since that day, I've come a long way in my personal journey. Why? Because I didn't quit. Okay, the story isn't look at me. The moral of the story is, regardless of how bad you get it, or what rut you find yourself in, or whatever crossroads you come to, never, ever quit. Stick with the journey. Keep focused that the bigger goal here is becoming successful. And if you stick with it and you keep improving your game as you go along, you will go the full distance and you will become extremely successful. Okay, so hopefully I've answered that question. Let's take another question. Okay, so what's the objective over the next 12 months, and what's your plan? So we'll go to Nick.
During this lockdown and this COVID thing, apart from the selling that I've done, I've also spent some time, energy and resource and invested in collecting and building data to get my prospect base and my pipeline filled back up again. Obviously, like everyone on this call, we were so excited about Dojo last week, and when that comes on later in the year, we've all got to be ready for that, and we've got a plan for that, but we've also got to live and survive in between. So I've started looking at other businesses or businesses that I've already got at the moment. How can I leverage in them? And it was really interesting to hear James's story, because I'm trying some experiments at the moment in some areas. You know, I've got customers all over the country, and I've reached out to some of them during this period, and I've had some long chats to people over the telephone. And I think it's a time now, yes, we can work, but also to invest for the future as well, because there will be gaps and times in your diary that you need to fill. So I'm very much planning and looking ahead with my business. I've got Alan, who works for me. He spent a lot of time where he's had spare bandwidth, if that's a good word to describe, and capacity in building up database in spreadsheets, so that we've got information from all the prospects that we've gone by before. And I'm more interested in all the people I didn't sell to as opposed to the people I have sold to, because all those people that I haven't sold to, I've still got all those white pieces of paper that I held up early for every single one of them. All I did was put them as a dummy appointment in my Google Diary, but I know exactly who they are, and I will be ready, poised to contact them when we start moving out of this, or when businesses and industries start opening up. So I'm very much planning and looking forward to the future for the next 12, 18 months.
Great. Thanks. We're a little bit against time here, guys. So we'll start to move towards the close. So, Packy, if you want to answer that same question, the objective over the next 12 months.
Mine was basically, as soon as this all kicked off, I knew exactly what I was doing. Straightforward, contact every one of my customers, give them an option of taking payments over the phone at a lower cost. If they were going to be doing anywhere over 5% of payments over the phone, which ideally, of course, they want to be doing it, then maybe a moto's the way forward. Not necessarily always charging for a moto's the way forward. At the end of the day, we're here to try and help them with that. Also, business funding is available there for them. We were pitching that. And then obviously the opportunity of payback. But I respect what Nicholas is saying about looking forward. When SuperPay comes, it comes. All right. Deal a day keeps everything else away. All right. So that's my plan for the next 12 months. I will continue with that plan for the next 12 months. And when SuperPay arrives and we're all allowed to concentrate fully on that, then I will point this out, and I want people that really listen, because there's people that can go into societies and they're brilliant. They're top class, and they can go in and get associates and partners because they are very good at getting those type of people. I will be honest, I am not. I am useless. And when I walk in, they want more time talking about Peaky Blinders than what they want to do anything else. So I'm being honest, I spent 4 weeks, I spent 4 hours a day fixing this structure that I built to go to a massive company without mentioning their name, to sit amongst all the other competitors and pitch my deal. And I arrive and I'm there, and it's literally only last year, and I'm in my whole suit, I'm there, and I'm pulling out, I've got the briefcase. And I spent weeks on this, do you understand? Because if I get this, it's going to be really worth it. The shops are throughout the whole of Ireland, England, that's all great. Listen, the bottom line is they took my knowledge, they robbed me, and they went with the other competitor. I wasted my time. Now, if I'd have got 3 chip shops, those 3 chip shops would have been probably worth more in commission than what ideally this whole job would have been to me, because I'd have had to pay out 50% commission back to the people that were giving me the leads in the first place. So I can't work like that. It's just, that's not me. I'm from West Belfast. I don't do the whole get in and pitching the people. I go in straight forward. I don't give them any time either. I'm sorry. I know they're very valuable, but so is my time. Because while you're wasting my time, I could be in with a customer who actually needs me and who is respecting me. So I have a certain rule. You've 10 minutes. It's up to you to listen. And if not, I'll not be back. That's the end of it. Somebody else can go and say them. Because I have to make sure they know that my time in here is as valuable as theirs. And that's the deal done. And if they can see you're being honest about that and you're not messing around, then I think that's the point of buying into you. Whereas with associates and me trying to pitch, it wasn't that I was nervous or I can't talk in front of people. It's just, I just didn't have the right language to impress them. Perhaps that's maybe what I would say. So I'm get down, get the dirt, get it into your nails. You can hear me talking. I can't change accents, but I'm not going to. I just like the sale. A deal a day keeps everything else away. It keeps you in your Champions League. It keeps your residuals all flowing, and let it all just grow. Don't think you're going to go from one sale to 300 grand LTR. Like, I mean, if you do, congratulations, but it's very unlikely. Just climb the ladder and just get up there. Have motivations. Do you want a new car? Do you want to go on holiday? Is there something you need to buy? Is there an amount of money you want in your bank account that you want to look at every day to go, that's mine? Whatever the drive is, do it. There's so many drives out there to make you do this. I just don't want people taking their eye off the ball and trying to then phone 150 associate companies to go, how many are you an associate? And can I come in and meet you? Because you've missed the whole day. And if you missed 2 days and 3 days, you might have missed 6 sales. And if you've missed those, you've missed God knows how much commission. So I have a different view on the boys, and I love that view, and I wish I could get into it. Unfortunately, I tried, I can't. I don't have the speaking knowledge to get to that level, and maybe I'll bring in a partner that could speak for me. Wink, wink, nod, nod, Tim.
Nudge, nudge.
Okay, guys, so thanks for that package. So let's really sort of move things to a conclusion. So, guys, this is it. This shit just got real. Start planning your bounce back. Get yourself into the mindset that you're ready to get your business back in the fast lane. Start planning your 3-step plan, meaning you should have a full vision of your next 3 steps. Basically, your roadmap that covers 6 months. I mean, where do you want your business and your earnings to be in 6 months? I mean, the next 6 months, you will have the world at your feet with SuperPay and the launch of Dojo. We're in the middle of preparing a massive launch for the 1st of June. That's going to promote SuperPay and then do a sales campaign on the back of that. And this product is coming together nicely. And as you all know, I mean, the features of this product are just fantastic. I mean, we've got speedy boarding, where you only have to ask the customer for a few details. We've got where you don't have any errors, and there's not going to be no such thing. Goodbye, first data. No more errors. How much time is that going to free up for you? 30-day rolling contracts. Business funding. I mean, I know some of you have had a bad experience with this product. However, there's been a lot of work done to this in the last couple of weeks. Therefore, I mean, you're going to find it's going to be a lot easier to get deals through, particularly now with more businesses opening up, hopefully when the lockdown lifts. Real-time reporting through the app, contract buyout, the remote terminal assistance. We're going to have sort of PAX, obviously the PAX terminals. I mean, these terminals are just so cool and modern. The pause button. I mean, if they go into lockdown again, then all their bills stop And every sector is going to be on next day settlement. However, now you might like this one. One feature that might be ready and is looking very good for the 1st of June is instant settlement. And basically what this means is we're going to have a button on the terminal called the Pay Me Now button, which basically means is if they hit this button in the day, they're going to get their funds within 20 minutes or so, thereabouts, okay? Now that feature might not be ready for the 1st of June, okay? It's looking very good, but we're aiming for it. All right, and if it's not in the 1st of June launch, well then it'll be very, very, very soon after. So that's going to be massive, you mean. So guys, it's all happening. I mean, we are going to completely disrupt this market and clean up, you mean. Get yourself revved up, get focused, set a plan. You mean, get your 3-step plan in place. You mean, what can you achieve for yourself and your family over the next 6 months? I mean, get all those reasons as to why you're struggling and why you haven't achieved this. Get them all off your page completely. Become a results person. Get out there and make shit happen and tear down those walls and those demons in your head and the grass is always greener. Get rid of all those reasons. Get rid of all that shit and become a results person. And you'll be surprised at how quickly this will happen. Guys, I'm so excited, more so than I've ever been, and I can also say this in my career. I mean, let's just hope Boris lifts the gates in the coming weeks, and then it's go, go, go. Guys, I want to thank all of my panelists today. I'm sure you'll agree it's been fantastic. Tim, James, Packy, and Nick. Moving forward, these Perfect Pitches webinars is just going to be once a week, and that's going to be on the Thursday at 3 p.m. But we're now going to be basically setting up webinars for you to talk about our new campaign and to start rolling out and start training you in sort of the super pay. I think Sheila's going to be sending out some invites for that. I believe the first one is on Monday morning at 10:30, where we're going to talk about the big sales campaign that we're going to be rolling out on the 1st of June. Guys, it's exciting times. You mean, start getting those engines revved, and we're going to have a lot of fun over the next 6 months, and we're really going to sort of help you grow your business towards success. Guys, thanks for logging on, and stay safe. Let's go. Bye.
Cheers, guys.
Yes, thank you, everyone.